Now, whether you agree with it or not, there's no denying that Rotten Tomatoes has forever changed how we look at movies. A film's worth is so often boiled down to a single aggregated percentage score as though it was an objective indication of its quality. And one of the many knock-on effects of this is that the tomato meter can be used to gauge the success of an actor's career, of how well they've managed to curry critical favour no matter each film's box office performance. And while the overwhelming majority of actors have a healthy, understandable mix of critically praised and panned projects to their names, sometimes performers, well, they just can't seem to catch a break. Case in point, these 10 actors, all extremely well-known talents in their own rights, have managed to score just a single fresh rating from critics. That is 60% approval or above, despite the many dozens of films that they've appeared in. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 huge actors who only have one fresh film on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 10. Ashton Kutcher. Despite being one of the most recognizable and bankable comedy actors of the early 2000s, Ashton Kutcher's Rotten Tomatoes page is, frankly, a bloodbath. His most popular films, such as Dude, Where's My Car?, Just Married, The Butterfly Effect, and What Happens in Vegas, failed to strike a chord with critics, while even his attempt at a serious dramatic role in Steve Jobs' biopic Jobs was largely panned. And though Kutcher has majorly reduced his acting output in recent years in order to focus on his social activism, he did finally break a 22-year streak of critically rotten movies just recently. Kutcher played a supporting role in B.J. Novak's directorial debut Vengeance, which rocks a sturdy 79% on the tomato meter. Beyond the black comedy receiving solid reviews, Kutcher himself was widely praised for his performance as offbeat record producer Quentin Sellers. While you probably shouldn't expect to see Kutcher add another fresh movie to his filmography anytime soon, at least he finally got one, and it wasn't for a throwaway cameo that just happened to be in a good film. Number 9. Matt LeBlanc. When it comes to making the leap from TV to movies, the success of the Friends cast has varied wildly, and in the case of Matt LeBlanc, he's clearly always been more comfortable as a TV star. In LeBlanc's defense, he only had a handful of cinematic credits in major movies, in films such as Ed and the infamous clunker Lost in Space, such that his only decently reviewed big screen project to date is 2000's Charlie's Angels reboot. Charlie's Angels sits at a not-so-bad 68%, with LeBlanc playing a supporting role of Jason Gibbons, Alex Monday's boyfriend. Though he also returned for the 2003 sequel, Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, that proved less appealing with critics landing a mediocre 41%. LeBlanc has admittedly only appeared in 2 movies over the last 20 years and also made it clear in recent times that he's teeing up retirement from acting in the near future. Still, at least he snagged a single fresh movie, as is more than can be said for his Friends co-star Matthew Perry, whose Rotten Tomatoes page contains nothing but splats. Number 8. Cara Delevingne. Cara Delevingne is certainly an actress that Hollywood really tried to make happen for a few years, didn't they? The model-turned-actress starred in a number of high-profile films throughout the mid to late 2010s, including Paper Towns, Pan, Suicide Squad, and Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, all of which, well, received mixed to negative reviews. After Delevingne's performances in Suicide Squad and Valerian were panned back-to-back, the blockbuster roles quickly began to dry up, though she did follow them up with her single fresh film, Alex Ross Perry's 2018 musical industry drama, Her Smell. In the film, Delevingne is admittedly well cast as Crassy Cassie, a member of an on-the-rise band, even if the movie very much belongs to star Elizabeth Moss. Delevingne has appeared in just a few films since, largely turning her focus towards working on TV shows such as Carnival Row and Only Murders in the Building. Number 7. Rob Schneider. No matter what you think of Rob Schneider, there's no denying that he was everywhere in the 1990s through to the early 2000s, whether playing memorable supporting parts in Home Alone 2, Demolition Man, and Judge Dredd, starring in his own comedy vehicles Juice Bigelow, Male Gigolo, The Animal, and The Hot Chick, or making cameos in a bevy of his pal Adam Sandler's movies. And yet, despite having more than 60 film credits to his name, only a single one has resulted in predominantly positive reviews, and the outlier is 1999's Muppets from Space, which scrapes fresh with a 63% score. Yet it's worth pointing out that Schneider only has a small cameo role in the movie as a TV producer, so it feels more like blind luck than anything else that he wound up in a decently reviewed movie. You throw enough darts at the dartboard, you're gonna eventually hit bullseye, right? Number 6. Hilary Duff. If there's no denying that Hilary Duff is best known for her status as a teen idol on the show Lizzie McGuire and her subsequent TV career, for a good while Hollywood was determined to try and make her a bankable cinematic commodity as well. Duff has more than 20 movie roles to her name, including most prominently Agent Cody Banks, the Lizzie McGuire movie, Cheaper by the Dozen, and A Cinderella Story, all of which were panned into the ground by critics. Duff did score well critically just once though with her 2009 drama According to Greta, a more serious-minded film in which Duff portrayed a suicidal and rebellious teenager. It's worth pointing out, though, that Greta only meets the bare minimum for a fresh rating, as it's currently sitting at 60% after just 5 reviews, and so a single negative review would actually nudge it into rotten territory and give Duff an entirely splat-filled filmography. Number 5. Cole Sprouse. And here's another teen star who failed to make much critical impact in the world of film, Cole Sprouse. As a youngster, he was best known for his roles on the hit Disney Channel series The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, as well as his recurring role as Ben Geller on Friends, before more recently earning a legion of fans in his performance as Jughead Jones in the CW's Riverdale. Cinematically, his highest profile roles included Big Daddy, 5 Feet Apart, and most recently Moonshot, and it's the latter which finally granted him his first fresh film. The sci-fi rom-com sits at an acceptable 64%, giving Sprouse his first positively reviewed movie almost 25 years after his acting career started. Granted, given that Sprouse has been acting since he was incredibly young, it's easy to cut him a bit of slack here. His twin brother Dylan currently has 2 fresh films to his name, so he's certainly got some familial competition in the critical stakes. Number 4. Freddie Prinze Jr. Freddie Prinze Jr. may no longer be headlining multiplex fare, but there's no denying that he was a huge star in the late 1990s through to the early 2000s, best remembered for the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies, She's All That, and both live-action Scooby-Doo films. In recent years, Prinze has carved out a niche for himself, voicing fan-favorite character Kanan Jarrus in the animated series Star Wars Rebels. Yet aside from one early movie in his career, his filmography but critical dismissal. Prince's one fresh film is the 1997 dark comedy The House of Yes, the directorial debut of future Mean Girls and Freaky Friday director Mark Waters. At 62%, it only just lands on fresh, but a win is a win, even if it came incredibly early in his career, seeing as this was just Prince's second movie role ever, and he's never replicated that critical hit in the 25 years since. Ironically, it seems like Prince's voice cameo in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker might have granted him his second fresh movie, but given that film's shockingly tepid reviews, he was sadly denied a twofer. Number 3. Julianne Hough. Now, singer, dancer, and actress Julianne Hough is best known for her Emmy-winning stint on Dancing with the Stars, serving as a judge on America's Got Talent, and most recently co-hosting the 2022 Tony Awards. It was just a matter of time before Hollywood came a-knocking on her door, and that it certainly did, with the actress appearing in a number of glossy movies throughout the 2010s, including Burlesque, Rock of Ages, Safe Haven, and Dirty Grandpa, all of which were critical flops. She's only got one official fresh role on her resume, and that's as the female lead of 2011's Footloose remake, which netted a 68% approval rating from critics. Now, we do have to put an asterisk against her name now, because she did make an uncredited appearance in the very first Harry Potter film, which sits at a strong 81%, but she played an unnamed Hogwarts student, and given that it was a non-speaking extra role that didn't make the credits, it also isn't part of her official filmography on her Rotten Tomatoes page. Harsh, perhaps, but rules are rules. Number 2. Emilia Clarke. Emilia Clarke is one of the most recognizable rising actors of the last decade, in large part due to her iconic performance as Daenerys Targaryen on Game of Thrones. Given Clarke's success in the role, it was a given that she'd eventually make the transition into beefy movie roles. And while she certainly did do that, critical success sadly didn't follow. Clarke's most high-profile movies included Terminator, Giant Ice Ice, Me Before You, and Last Christmas, all of which flopped with critics. But the single well-received outlier also happened to be her biggest movie role to date, which came when she appeared in Solo: A Star Wars Story. Despite well-known production issues, such as most of the movie being reshot by replacement director Ron Howard, Solo went on to net a solid 69% with reviewers, and Clarke's performance was singled out as a pleasant surprise by many. It's a damn shame then that Solo was an unexpected box office bomb, making it incredibly unlikely that we'll ever see Clarke reprise the role, especially in a movie. The best that you can probably hope for is a supporting part in a Disney Plus Star Wars series. Despite her lack of cinematic critical success though, Clarke certainly isn't hurting for work. She's next set to play a major secretive role in the Disney Plus MCU series Secret Invasion. And number 1, Tom Green. Like others on this list, Tom Green was everywhere in the late 90s and early 2000s. He had a face that everybody knew, and through his prank comedy series The Tom Green Show and his appearances in films such as Road Trip, Freddie Got Fingered, and Stealing Harvard, there was no avoiding the guy. But Green's success wasn't reflected by critical opinion. Just like Matt LeBlanc, his only fresh movie to date is Charlie's Angels, in which he played the small role of Dylan Sanders' fisherman boyfriend Chad. Green's Hollywood career largely fizzled out by the mid to late 2000s, and these days he tends to make only small appearances in low-budget movies, such as 2019's Iron Sky, The Coming Race. As a result, it seems unlikely that he'll rack up another fresh movie anytime soon, if ever. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 huge actors who only have one fresh film on Rotten Tomatoes. I hope you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, or you can swing by Instagram where it's the same handle, RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there, my friends. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. I hope you're treating yourself well with love and respect, because you deserve all the best things in life, alright? Like love, happiness, and success. And don't let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise, alright? That was a role that you have definitely got the lead part for, the biggest of ledges. Now go out there and utterly smash it today. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.